What's up, Aries? Welcome to your August 2020 Creativity Tarot reading. My name is Kaylee Jean, and welcome to my channel. I record these videos for artists, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is working on their personal growth, self-expression, or spirituality in any form. So if those areas of life are important for you right now, I encourage you to go ahead and keep listening. And if you're new here, I also just want to say really quickly that you can use these readings for your sun, moon, or your rising sign. It's also possible sometimes that none of them will resonate. These are just general readings, but I encourage you to go ahead and experiment and come back to this video at the end of August because you may find some surprising connections. That's usually what I hear from people. All right, Aries, so what I want to talk to you about from when I was meditating for you guys, I was getting this impression that there's something that you really have to believe in right now. And I think you are getting some proof. I think you are getting some little kind of messages from the universe, basically, that you're working within maybe a system, or you're working with tools, or you're working with a certain attitude that can produce results for you. Like, you're getting those little signs from the universe that you're on the right track. But I think ultimately right now it's about you really investing yourself in what you believe in and really choosing, like there's an element of choice in that, to put your heart and your soul kind of into maybe a paradigm, a belief system, an outlook on life, or even a project. There's something here about like really trusting what you're doing and recognizing that you are somebody who is capable of creating wonderful things for yourself, as long as you stay consistent. Like, this is really about building up a momentum, and that comes from, repeatedly taking action, assessing your actions and seeing how they've worked out, and then formulating your next step, and then kind of like attacking it again. I really feel like this is a message of solidarity for you, and it's a message really of solidarity with yourself. It's like, back yourself up, believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, and you are going to see results. So it's really just about sticking to that and acknowledging your power as a creator. So let's take a look at your cards and we'll get some more specific predictions. Aries, Aries, Aries. I was seeing like a big boulder just now. So I don't know if some of you guys live near like a big boulder, or like or if there's like a big rock that you walk to. Something like that. There's like a large rock formation. Okay. So let's take a look at your Animal Spirit Oracle cards. So we've got Lamb as your path, and the Fire Ant as sort of like what's crossing you, which can be an influence card. The card that's laying horizontally, it can be an influence. It can also be a lesson or an obstacle. And in this case, I do see it as a little bit of an obstacle this month for you, Aries, but it's not anything you can't surmount. So let's get into it. Really, what I want to say is, with the Lamb card as your path, again, this message, it's so spooky how spot on this is with the meditation that I did for you guys about just believing. There's a really powerful sense with the Lamb card. This card also has a very, it's like the softer side of Aries. You're the ram, but here you're the lamb. So it's kind of like your inner child, or your sense of wonder in life that's coming out and being represented here. It's the inner kind of naive, playful, joyful part of you that wants to be integrated. And this is something that I've talked about in multiple readings, but it's one of the things that Carl Jung teaches us. He felt that the real mark of actual sovereignty in adulthood was reaching a point in your adult life where you stop all the hardcore adulting, or you don't stop it, but you stop working so hard on developing that part of yourself, and you then reintegrate the childhood self. And then you're kind of like the whole person. Then you're individuated, you know, and this is a very like oversimplified explanation, but this was Jung's belief, you know, that his reflection on life was that you didn't become a whole individual, a whole individuated person until, you know, you learned how to pay the bills, you learned how to have a family or to be responsible and committed and, you know, behave in an ethical way in the world, do all that adult stuff, but then also integrate the child in a playful way so that you are childlike with wonder, not childish as an adult, right? Like you want to have that kind of childlike spirit essence to you, but not behave in childish ways. And that was the mark of like a truly individuated person in his mind. So there is this sense of belief, there's a sense of trust, but there's a sense of also having to navigate some potential difficulties when it comes to basically like social interaction, or what you would call like your relationship to society as a whole. Some of you may feel a little bit like almost that there's things going on in the collective that you're really not stoked on, I guess, with the fire ant. And this could be like the collective of your society and your government and your, you know, the public. But it could also be within your family or your company, you know, your team, your coworkers. There is a sense of a little bit of like tides moving in a way that you don't necessarily agree with. And I think your goal or your main unifying factor this month, Aries, is about finding your authentic truth and believing that you can stick to it. And sometimes that means going against the grain a little bit. Sometimes that means, you know, disagreeing with someone, but doing it in a very authentic and considerate way, which is the Lamb card again. So interesting cards, interesting energy. Be careful about like your sensitivity. Like you might want to watch for situations in your life this month in August where you're kind of needing to like maybe cleanse. Like you might need to do a ritual bath with plenty of salt and some essential oils after you have like an argument with somebody. Like you might want to actually go and do a banishing or cleansing ritual for yourself, because you could be hanging on to a little bit of the residual frustrations of, you know, whatever that interaction was with the fire ant. You know, it's definitely an energy where you can have disagreements, but with the Lamb, it's like, be careful about those disagreements kind of really hitting you in a sensitive spot. So I want you to just be mindful of your self-care and really take a practical approach to just making sure that you're regularly cleansing your energy field so that you're not hanging on to any resentments. Let's take a look at your cards. So we've got 10 of Cups with the Page of Pentacles, 3 of Swords with the King of Cups, 8 of Wands, 10 of Wands, 10 of Pentacles, and the Lovers. Interesting, because you've got 3 10s here. So 3 out of 4 10s is significant for sure. There's a lot of things that are being brought to culmination at this time in your life, Aries. And in the first week of August, we have this full moon in Aquarius, which is actually a pretty intense full moon. Both the sun and the moon are squaring Uranus in a nearly exact square. It's like it's 1 degree off. So that itself, you know, for you symbolically, the Aquarius full moon is in your 11th house of friendships and your kind of like your network. So looking at these cards, I mean, I would say like the 10 of Cups, knowing that there is that full moon there, For you, the Ten of Cups can represent your family, like I was saying before with like the fire ant, or it could also represent like a broader group that you're a part of. And I think, with the Page of Pentacles, it's kind of tough because, you have this group that maybe within itself is a relatively static, but there's little room for something different. Like it feels like there's, even though it's a happy card, like there is, there are genuine good people here. It's not demonizing anyone, but it's almost like there's a feeling within you of like that this is too homogenized or something. Like you feel like you need to individuate yourself somehow. And that's the Page of Pentacles coming in. Again, when we have a full moon in your 11th house, symbolically speaking, this points to endings, and culminations in your friend circle or in your family circle or in your social circle. So there's a sense of really needing to kind of go your own way. And that's really coming through as a constructive thing for you because it's the Page of Pentacles, which is like a person who wants to kind of get in there. It's like he's like my card of being a potter, right? Like he's the one who wants to get his hands in the clay and he wants to start molding and creating things. So I do see this as a creative, like a fundamentally creative impulse for you, Aries. But I feel like, there's a potential that you could feel a little bit raw about it because it means that you are like separating yourself in some way from the group. And so there could be a little bit of like backlash coming from those people, or there could be a feeling of sacrifice for kind of going your own way or by doing things yourself in a way that's true for you and that resonates with what makes sense to your rational mind or your creative mind. Now, the King of Cups coming up with the Three of Swords in the second week of August, this is potentially the time where like the rubber meets the road a little bit in terms of you doing your own thing or making some choices that alienate you from someone, possibly a Scorpio person or a water sign person in general, which would be Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. This person feels to me like they do have a strong energy of like, attachment and love, but I feel like there's a heaviness with this person's attire that is speaking more to me just in the context of this reading. There's like, it's like this person, you can acknowledge that they have a lot of love and a lot of appreciation and sensitivity, but there's a lot of like baggage almost that comes with it. Right. And I think that's the Three of Swords is like, you're not willing to carry that baggage in order to keep that friend, or you're not willing to silence yourself in order to, maintain that relationship because it's just getting to be too much. That's kind of what I feel is like this person, and maybe, hats off to them. Definitely not demonizing anybody in my readings because there's two sides to every story and everybody's on their own life path, their own growth lessons, right? We are individuals having our own experiences. There's nothing about us needing to like relate to everyone on the same basis, right? Like we have our perspective, they have their perspective, and that's absolutely fine. So I feel like for you, your perspective and the way that the situation is kind of touching you right now is that you feel burdened by it and you feel like there's a lot of heaviness and baggage and weight that comes with this relationship. And this person, they might be kind of pushing you a little bit in that second week of August. They could be kind of questioning you. You might even feel like they're kind of, you might feel attacked, like to be honest. Like I'm not saying that it's like, it definitely doesn't seem extreme, but I feel like with the Three of Swords, we can't ignore the swords in that heart, which is like, oh, you feel that this person, has a good heart, but at the same time, they're kind of stabbing you a little bit with their words. And so it's rough, it's complicated, it's a challenge, Aries, but it's not anything that you can't overcome, and it's not anything that's not worth doing because again, you're the one that has to be okay with your decisions in life. Like nobody else needs to reckon with you the way that you do. So every decision that you make has to come from a place of authenticity, or you will, over time, resent that decision that you made, or resent the person that you made it for, or you will have to change your mind and renege on it and go back and do something else, at which point it might be more painful, than it would be right now, because you're kicking the can down the road. So it's like this kind of is one of those things that just had to happen, I feel. And I don't think that the relationship is necessarily lost forever. If it's somebody that you've been friends with for a long time, or if it's somebody close with you, like a parent or, somebody in your family, I don't think this is really the end of the road. I just think this is like an important phase wherein difficult truths must be faced, and if not both parties are willing to accept the other person as they are, even though they're different, then you do have to kind of just allow some space. So that's kind of what I feel, Aries. The second week of August, you've got 2 Wands cards. So I do have to say that the third, I think I said the third before, but the third week of August is definitely the most active week for you when it comes to work. I'm not sure what you have going on in the third week of August, if you're like moving or starting something or going somewhere, but it feels like you have a lot on your plate and a lot on your mind. So what I want to say to you is, like, before you even get into that week of the month, I encourage you to really strongly make lists of things that you're going to have to do. And if you do have like a project that's due in the third week of August, or if you have a launch that you're going to be doing or anything like that, Aries, because so many of you are creators who follow me, if that's the case for you, I think it's important to not procrastinate leading up to the third week of August. So it's possible that you could kind of get tempted into like thinking about personal stuff in the first 2 weeks of August, which might like take your mind off of work a little bit. And that could be natural, but I also want to say, like, if you're going to suffer a lot because you put something off, try and not do that. Try and be disciplined as well, because, a lot of this emotional kind of disappointment that we see in the second week is kind of unavoidable anyway. And there's, as long as you're doing your best, there's not much else you can do. So work might be a really valuable way to take your mind off of that. Leading up to the third week of August, I think it's important that you don't procrastinate. If you feel that like tendency, just push through it and do it anyway. I've done this so many times in my work. There's been so many times where I wanted to take just more time off, or to just kind of put things off till later. But once you actually get in your zone, and whether you're like a writer, for example, if you just get in your chair, scope out like all the the storyline that you have to get done that day and just get to it, a lot of times it ends up becoming enjoyable. You just have to kind of get over that like first little hump of resistance. So definitely be organized. Try and go into the third week of August empowered. Go into the third week of August feeling like you're ready for it, like you want to be ready, because there's going to be a lot. And with the 10 of Wands, I think there's certain things that are probably too much that you are doing, but you're not going to be able to get out of it. So again, organization, making lists, and just, wearing comfortable clothes, bringing water with you everywhere, and snacks, whatever you have to do to just get, through that little busy phase is going to mean everything for you. And get good sleep as well. So that you can just, fly through. I think that week's going to go by really fast. The last week of August, we have the 10 of Pentacles with the Lovers. And so this is kind of following, again, we had a new moon. We are going to have a new moon in Leo on the 18th. And so I think, because that's in your 5th house and you've got these cards here that are talking about like go, go, go energy, your 5th house energy is really being activated. And I think that kind of carries over, and you actually start to see some of the actual like more fun aspects of the 5th house by the end of the month, because you have the Lovers, which is obviously a deeply, can be a deeply romantic card. It can also be a card of partnerships and working together in general, or just being authentic. It can be about a reunion, which is kind of what I see with this Ten of Pentacles, being that the Ten of Pentacles represents relationships that are symbiotic in nature that last over time. You know, that's one way that we can look at the Ten of Pentacles, is it's relationships of reciprocity that withstand the tests of time because they are reciprocal and because they are symbiotic, truly symbiotic. And that does exist. That does exist, Aries. If you've ever wondered if that's possible, it is. And I think you're getting a flavor of that or a hint of that at the end of the month. There could be something like a wedding. Some of you might be considering getting married. There could be others of you who are partnering up with someone in business at the end of the month. And if so, you know, it looks good as long as, you know, all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. The lowercase j's as well. As long as all of that is there, I think, you know, it looks really good for partnerships. It looks really good for long-standing relationships. Like, this is more, if this is a relationship, this is more like a marriage or a business partner that is like you're contractually bound together. I want to get you your Bob Ross message. He said, I don't try to understand everything in nature. I just look at it and enjoy it. Beautiful. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm actually going to get you another oracle card from this deck. I'm actually blanking on the name of it. That happens to me in readings sometimes. My mind goes with what I'm doing and I just forget things. But this kind of reminds me of the first two cards here. I think this is kind of like a way that you can cope, right? Because if you do feel like there's some chaos going on around you with the people around you, you feel like people are losing their head a little bit and you're just like, oh man, why can't we just get along? Or like, why can't you just accept like my individuality? Or, you know, why can't, but I guess even if that's the case, it's like, if that's what you're thinking, that's what you have to accept. You have to make it okay for you to just do your thing without needing anybody else's agreement or permission, or without needing a consensus, right? If you believe something, Aries, and it's about you, it's true for you, it's relevant to your experience, you don't need to convert anybody. You know, you don't need to get anybody to look positively on that. Like, that can just be what resonates with you. Opportunity, beautiful. What a gorgeous deck. I'll put the link to it below with the name. But yeah, I think this is a beautiful opportunity for you. I think this is also referring to that new moon in Leo in your 5th house, which is again on August 18th. So I think there are going to be some good opportunities coming in. Your mode of being this month is kind of yin in a way, because it is about like waiting until you see the opportunities that are aligned for you and then taking action on those while maintaining whatever your position is and your responsibilities are. But this isn't a month to, like, you know, force acquiescence or force anything with anybody. This is really about just feeling safe in your skin, and not needing anything outside of you to like reflect that back to you. So that's what I'm getting for you, Aries. I hope this reading has been helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you have any feedback. I would absolutely love to hear from you guys if you have thoughts you want to share on the reading, or if you just want to leave me a little fire emoji and let me know you're still here. I would absolutely love that. I'm sending you tons of love and light. Please take care of yourselves. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe, as well as subscribe to notifications. I do have some more videos coming out this month, so that will be exciting. I'm sending you tons of joy. Take care, and I will talk to you next time, Aries.